there will be an after. There's an after everything. And sometimes when we can get in a difficult time, and, we've all experienced difficult times before this, we can feel like, it will never end. But we want to talk about the after, and that life, will begin again. It'll be a little bit different, or maybe a lot different, but it's going to begin again. And we're going to be, at some point, this will be history.
Welcome to Champions Mojo Weekly Podcast, where your hosts Kelly Pallas and Maria Parker share with you what it takes to be a champion. Kelly is a former Division I head swim coach, Olympic trials qualifier, and holds Masters World and National swimming records. And Maria holds world records in endurance cycling and was the overall women's winner of the world's toughest bike race across America. They'll be sharing their personal stories and wisdom, along with interviewing other champions to give you the tools you need for becoming a true champion in your own life. And now, your host, Kelly Pallas.
Hello, friends. Welcome to the Champions Mojo podcast, where I am co-hosting, as usual, with Maria Parker. Maria, good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. It's great to be with you.
Yes, and maybe our listeners are not listening in the morning, but we're recording this in the morning, so I'm really happy to be with you. I got a nice cup of coffee here, and we are going to be talking about feeling grounded in uncertain times. We are definitely in uncharted territories with this COVID-19 pandemic, but we wanted to bring you a show that will be uplifting and positive, and maybe just extremely opposite of the news that you're going to watch on TV or on your streaming devices. So we hope that you'll stay tuned, because we're going to cover what people are feeling out there, what we're feeling. We're going to talk about how to stay grounded, and then we're going to talk about some micro goals or some small goals that just we can put out there for us to kind of get through this time. There will be an after. Maria, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I love that. Kelly, just listening to you say those things, I feel better. Your voice is very, very consoling and encouraging to me. So thanks for that already. When we were preparing for the show, we tried to kind of explore our own feelings and the other people that we've talked to. And one of the things that we came up with, and I've actually heard this in the media some, although I'm trying to stay away from media now, this concept of this isn't forever. There's going to be an after. And I was talking to my husband about this yesterday, and he started singing "There's Got to Be a Morning After" for those of you.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great song.
For those of you who don't remember, that came from Poseidon Adventure, which is way long time ago. But there will be an after. There's an after everything. And sometimes when we can get in a difficult time, and, we've all experienced difficult times before this, we can feel like, it will never end. But we want to talk about the after, and that life, will begin again. It'll be a little bit different, or maybe a lot different, but it's going to begin again. And we're going to be, at some point, this will be history, which is, to me, encouraging.
Yeah. And before we go to that, which is our third, we kind of had three big bullet points that we wanted to share with people today. And let's start with what the feelings are that are out there. And we want to normalize these feelings and behaviors that we're seeing amongst ourselves, our families, our friends, certainly in the news. And we titled this show Feeling, Ungrounded. And I think that is an overall theme, that when there is uncertainty, so certainty and uncertainty are, if you've ever listened to Tony Robbins, I love, Tony Robbins is just the icon for personal development, getting through tough times. And Tony Robbins says there's 7 human needs, and 2 of the human needs are certainty and uncertainty. So we like a little uncertainty. We like to go to a movie and not know what the end is going to be. And then he always says, well, we also like certainty, where you go watch your favorite movie for the 3rd or 4th time because you like certainty. So I think certainty is what's really missing in today's society. And I'm going to just start with me. I have been feeling super ungrounded. And Maria, I've been radio silent with you for the last week, and you're like, Kelly, what is going on? So why haven't you called me every single day for us to do a podcast? And I kind of want to just say to the swimmers out there, every single day for the last, I'm going to say 6 months, I have swum. And swimming is a big part of my mental health, my physical health. So I live in a community that has a nice community pool, and I go there either every morning and every evening and swim. And so in the last week, they've, closed our pool down, and I've not been able to swim like the thousands of other swimmers out there. So not only am I missing kind of my emotional and physical fitness in swimming, but the whole world is turned upside down, and the media is blasting us with these horrible, gloom and doom scenarios. So I've just been feeling really ungrounded. Like, what are we going to do with the podcast if we can't talk to swimmers and we can't talk to coaches? So that for me has been why we titled this show Ungrounded. And I think, Maria, you've felt a little differently, but why don't you, just give me your thoughts on what I've said.
Yeah, I think that is a common feeling. And that's certainly true for me too. A sense of, well, if you're not doing things the way you've always done them, then that doesn't feel good. We are creatures of routine and habit. When you're not doing your habit or your routine, especially for sort of scary reasons, I think it's easy to feel like you're floating, which, I sort of feel that, but I've been, as we all have, but I think one of the good things about that, we talked about this again as we were preparing for this show, a good thing about hard things or things that change everything is, it tears your world apart. It just cracks it open. And then you have sort of new opportunity. But just talking about this coronavirus for me personally, I would have said yesterday, and I did say yesterday to Kelly and to others, this is sort of normal for me. I'm not, my routine hasn't changed significantly because I work alone. I see my husband, I see my close family. So things haven't really changed. And I have just sort of doubled down on the things that I usually do. That's what I was saying to myself and what I've been saying to others. Well, the only thing that's changed is I have terrible insomnia. And so I realized just talking about this, that my body is reflecting the uncertainty of the world, even if I'm not consciously thinking to myself, oh, I feel bad. Oh, I'm nervous, or, oh, I'm worried. I am unable to sleep. And so, it's not that I'm having conscious concerns while I'm not sleeping. It's just that I am unable to sleep. And I think contrary to what I would have said yesterday, yes, this is impacting me. I feel ungrounded. Clearly, the insomnia is a screaming message saying, Maria, you're not calm and happy. But again, what I would say from previous experiences, I think as many, many people have had one of those experiences where a moment changes everything. And I've had 2 or 3 in my life. And that's when your world just sort of breaks open. I think this virus can be that for a lot of people, but when that happens, it's like, I remember talking to a counselor once. It's not that your world is over. It's not that nothing will ever be good again. It's that you're taking a turn. So you're not going where you thought you were going anymore. You've taken a right-hand turn. And that can be a great road too. We just don't know yet. Yeah, this is, I guess, what I'm admitting to you and everybody who's listening is this is, even though I'm saying it's okay, it's not okay, even for me, and I don't consider myself an anxious person.
Maria, I think that is an incredibly great example for everyone out there. So you and I are polar opposites on dealing with scary things. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to say maybe tough things, but, really difficult things. So I am I wear it on my sleeve. I'm the screaming, I'm anxious, I'm scared. Oh my gosh, I can't do this. I might do it. So let's take I love the visual of the little child who first jumps off the 3-meter diving board, the high dive at the pool. I am the kid that gets dared to do it, and I climb the ladder crying, and I walk out. Yeah, I literally remember this. Like, I climb the ladder crying, I'm so scared, I'm so scared, I'm so scared. And then I walk out one little step at a time, and I'm standing on the end saying, I can't do this is so scary. And then I'll, go to the end, and then I'll go jump off just screaming. Like, oh my God, I did it! And you are the little child that just, move out of the way. I'm going to jump off that 3-meter, and you put you set your chin and you climb up to the top and you throw your shoulders back at the end of the board and you walk out and you jump off.
Yeah. Or I say, I never wanted to do that anyway. and I just don't even try.
Yeah. But
certainly if I'm going to do it, I'm going to pretend like I'm not afraid.
Yeah. And so the point is that this time, and this is, I think, what we really wanted to normalize. It is scary as hell out there. It really is. Even if you're saying, like my husband, and we talked about my husband yesterday, Mark is just the ultimate good news bear. Oh, it's fine. It's going to be good. This is great. I'm enjoying it. And, Mark is in exorexic mode. He's, he runs in the morning. He rides his bike. He plays. He's trying to, I think, keep himself so busy that he can't even stop and think about what's going on, even though he's a news watcher. So, but I truly believe that this is getting deep down into everyone's psyche. And then I'm just going to throw it out here. The big thing that we're not even talking about, but I know is in the back of our mind. Yeah, only, a small percentage of people are going to die with this. But what if it's me? What if it's you? What if it's our husband? What if it's our child? What if it's our father? What if it's, your favorite best friend or your neighbor? I mean, I think the fact that there is a Grim Reaper in this that is making it definitely more scary. So I think that it's normal to have these feelings, whether you're overeating, you're underexercising, you're overexercising, you're, lubing out and numbing on Netflix. Whatever it is that people are doing is okay. I think it's just, that's what we wanted to say, that there's just, I'm kind of shaking in my boots and not functioning like I normally would. And you're saying, oh, I'm fine, but you're not sleeping at night. Right.
Yeah. And I think that, there are conscious things that we do so that we don't have to think about what's scary. As you were talking, I was thinking, yeah, this is what we all have to face, our own mortality. And every single time you so much as talk to somebody or turn on the news, we're talking about death.
Yes.
This is the main topic of March 2020 is death.
Yeah.
and I think, whether you deal with it consciously like you do, or you deal with it unconsciously like apparently I'm doing, we're having to face it. And so, I would double down on what you just said, which is, hey, if you're overeating, fine.
Right.
If you're doing Netflix too much, fine. I was very inspired by a little video, one of my favorite people, Peter Attia, that I follow, put out there about, he was saying how cross he was with his children and how just ashamed he was of himself. So if you're yelling at your kids, or if you're, whatever it is that you're doing, excuse yourself, forgive yourself. We're dealing with hard times here.
Yeah, hard times, uncertain times. And I think that's where we wanted to go to our second bullet point of how do you ground yourself? How do you get back? We don't want to be stuck in the Netflix cycle or the overeating cycle or the over-worrying cycle or the insomnia cycle. So I think the number one thing, you got to stop consuming media. That is just it. And I'll tell you from my own perspective, the first 3 days that this hit and everything was kind of, they were canceling NCAAs. They were talking, closing all the swimming pools, all that stuff. That just hit me in the gut. I mean, there's probably no thing I look forward to doing more in my life than going to women's NCAA swimming championships. I mean, that is probably my favorite activity ever. And and for that to be taken away was just a sock in the gut. So it was like the first 3 or 4 days of just constant cancellations, constant news. Mark, my husband, was, watching the news all the time. On about day 3, I woke up and I just couldn't even breathe. It was that anxious, nervous, oh my gosh, I just had a full tank of negativity. And I had journaled that morning and I said to myself, no news. I am doing nothing for 24 hours. I'm just going to look at birds and palm trees and sunlight. And I'm going to, so I came to Mark and I said, look, honey, I know you love to watch what's going on. I don't want to hear anything. You have to do headphones and your little computer screen or your phone, but I don't want to have gloom and doom around me for 24 hours. I don't want to hear it. Unless the sky is falling, don't come to me and say, oh, the death count is up in New York City, or, oh, now they're closing this or that. I said, I'm going to be fine for the next 24 hours without hearing any news. And I went 24 hours with just thinking about fun stuff and doing fun stuff and doing things that were unrelated to the virus, to death, to uncertainty. And I felt 1 million times better after that 24-hour period. I think that has to be the first step. What do you think?
I totally agree. I think most of us understand that the news is not really the news. And because we've talked about this in the show before, but I don't think you can emphasize it enough. We're attracted to negative news like we're attracted to sugar. It's it pulls you in. It's evolutionary, evolutionary. And so the media outlets know this. So they're not reporting good news. They're not reporting anything, particularly promising. Occasionally you hear that, but they're reporting stuff that will make you click on their stories and listen more and listen after the break. And it's not news. And you, like you said, you don't have to know. If the sky is falling, you'll see the blue specks, falling around you.
Right.
People think that to be good citizens, they have to listen to news, and you should be well informed. But in this time, I cannot emphasize enough the negativity that listening to the news or doing a lot of consuming of any media, Facebook, Instagram, is, it's all about death and the virus, and it's not helpful. So having said all that, and I know this, I know this, I still have a hard time not listening to the news. Usually in the evenings, we have a particular channel that we like to listen to, and I just, I think that's probably causing my insomnia. It just, it's such an attraction.
Yeah, it's that, on my graduate degrees in journalism and communications, and we were taught if it bleeds, it leads. So right. That's what they're trying to get, that factor of, sensationalism. And I will say there are good news channels, and I have been trying to search good news on the coronavirus. And I can give you 3 quick little points that I found in searching for good news. One, the virus does not seem to be mutating. So that's something that's good news that they're not saying in the news. Number 2, one of the top virologists said that it was not engineered. They thought maybe this was a deliberate bioterrorist act, that this was not engineered, that the way the little spikes on the virus showed was not spliced, so that it was a naturally occurring virus. So that's kind of good news, because you don't want to be thinking, this is a bioterrorist act. As a third, the best rate of calculating the mortality came off of the Princess cruise line, where there were 3,700 people on the ship. 712 of them actually got the virus, and then only 7 of them died, which makes the mortality rate 0.0002. So there, the death rate, I personally, besides that exact stat, I think there are tons of people that have this or have had it that aren't even in the numbers, which brings the death rate down. So I think there's some good media out there that they're not proliferating because they want it to be sensationalized.
Yeah, it's not, our little genetics, our little genes don't look for good news. Our genes look for danger.
Yes.
And so that's what the media is serving us up. We've said it. Will you hold me accountable on that, Kelly?
Yes, Maria, I'm going to have a plan for you. One thing that I think helps with insomnia so much that I do, and I've not been a great sleeper, and I've been sleeping great during this time, is great. I listen to audiobooks before I go to sleep. No news at night for sure. No blue screens, but I just listen to audiobooks, and I listen to either romance or something light, something really, maybe a little bit of a light thriller that's not, but just something that takes my mind completely to another place and is not about the news or about work or about, something that I need to do. It's just a fantasy world before you go to sleep. And, the audiobooks have a sleep timer. So you can just put it on, 15 minutes till you fall asleep. And that really has helped me. But
that's a great idea.
So let's talk about, definitely number 1, how to ground yourself. Stop consuming media.
If you don't do anything else, do that.
Yeah, I swear to you, if you will just give yourself, if you want to click after I say this, jump out of the podcast, give yourself 24 hours of not talking about the virus, not thinking about the virus, not looking at any news, and just do 24 hours of something that takes your mind completely off of it. You will do a reset and you'll feel so much better. And then just, see how that going forward, now I do a little bit of earlier in the day. I just check to see, what's going on, but never more than say 15 minutes of it. I just think that's consuming media is really not a good idea. New normal. So we do want to snap out of the overeating or overexercising or over Netflix. We need a new routine, Maria. So Why don't you talk about what a new routine might look like in this time?
I love this idea of new because new is to me a beautiful word. So I think we have to realize that things have changed. And so we need to create for ourselves what we call a new normal or a new routine. I was talking to one of my children yesterday, one of my adult children, and they were saying that they felt untethered, like we've been talking about, and we talked about transitions are difficult for this particular person. Transitions are very hard, and so you have to. And during a transition or a difficult time, you have to create a routine. And we talked about things that they could do that would be a new routine for them. And that's really helpful if you can wake up in the morning and think, okay, today I am going to, and this is going to be my new routine. If you have kids at home, I know this is a really, really big challenge for many, many parents whose children are no longer at school or whose kids are home from college. Things aren't the way they were. So you have to create a new routine. And I think, if that involves, I know with my son and daughter-in-law next door, they've been trying to get their kids outside twice a day, no matter what. And that's part of their routine now. They didn't used to do that because the kids were in school or they were doing other things. And so, now they've developed this new section, a new routine. And my son is working from home, and so he's working certain hours, and they've developed this new pattern, which is really working for them. And I think that's, that sounds obvious, but if you're consciously creating a routine, if you're waking up and planning your day and saying, this is how I want to go, and give it a try. And then if that doesn't work, change it a little for the next day. Try to create a routine for yourself during this time. Who knows how much more time we have of the social isolation. Even if you have 3 more days or a week, it's good to have a routine for that. Even when you go on vacation, you sort of develop a routine. So it's nice to be conscious about that. And that'll also fill up those blocks where you might be tempted to just sit down and flip through Facebook, which can be really, really bad for you.
A lot of our swimming community has lost the routine of swimming. So I used to get up every single morning, and swim. That was just, I didn't have breakfast. I get up, drink my 2 glasses of water. My swim bag is packed. I walk straight to the pool and I swam. That was just what I've done pretty much every day for the last several months. And now I'm not doing that. So my new routine is to immediately walk. So walking is not as fun for me as swimming, but I'm walking. And then when I come back, I do a little short 30-minute YouTube yoga routine that I just plug myself into. Once you get started, then, you kind of have to keep flowing with it. So I think that's
great.
That's my new routine. It's not swimming, but it's a different routine for me.
Yeah. Again, so my routine hasn't changed a lot because, as I said, I work either from home or by myself most of the time anyway. But I think one of the things that we talked about yesterday to be included in that new routine is spending some time in reflection. Yes. So I think that perhaps because I've just told myself that I'm fine and that I'm doing everything that I've always done, I haven't taken that time to ask myself, well, okay, what's the real deal here, Maria? And my 2020 New Year's resolution was more reflection. So I think, you talked about journaling. Journaling is a great way to do reflection, prayer, meditation, but just spending time sort of checking out, checking on yourself, okay, how does my stomach feel? How does my body feel? What's going on? What are the thoughts that I'm having? What are the thoughts that I'm trying not to have? What's going on here for me? And what am I afraid of? And I think if you can be honest with yourself in reflection, it's going to be really helpful going forward. What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. And that was why I got into my 24-hour fast, because I couldn't get a deep breath, and it didn't have anything to do with, having the coronavirus in my lungs. It was literally like I was so tight in my body of anxiety and worry that I was like, just shortness of breath. I checked in with what is going on? It is this massive, just downloading of bad news. So yes, reflecting, that's how I figured it out. So in this second bullet here, we're talking about how to ground yourself, get an exercise routine or a new routine that includes reflecting. And then I think a huge part of grounding yourself, getting back, if you're feeling untethered, is self-care. It's so, just really caring for yourself. And I love what you say a lot, Maria, which is think about what your future self will say. And you said this yesterday, something like, is my future self going to feel good in an hour if I've just chased everything down Facebook and YouTube and the news stories, or is it going to feel better if I journal for a half hour and go for a half hour walk? So what will your future self feel better about? So self-care is often the one that gets kind of tossed in the trash, or it's your excuse of, I've got to take care of the kids. The kids are out of school now. But if if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. So people have to take care of themselves.
Yeah. And I think that for me especially includes eating well. And again, you're home all day. I mean, I think there's been a lot of media on this that's kind of funny, but you're home all day. The food's right around. Maybe you're not quite as busy, but this is a great opportunity to really to eat well. And I went to the store the other day for food, and they were out of flour. And that made me so happy, because what that told me was that people are baking. And, it's not that bread is so great for you or cookies are so, but there's something really healing for some people, for me, this would be true, about creating delicious food in your own kitchen. So yeah, self-care, whatever it looks like for you, but try to eat well. For me, that's a part of the promise I make to my future self. Okay, if I sit down and eat this processed food, how am I going to feel in an hour? Versus if I roast up some broccoli with garlic and eat that, then my future self's going to feel a lot better on that. So yeah, that's part of self-care, what you eat. If it's baking and, doing stuff with your kids, arts and crafts, I mean, if that calms everybody, that's great for you too.
Yes, absolutely. I think just self-care and then if you want to tie self-care into simply taking care of your body so that your immune system is up, because we all want to have good immune systems right now. So if you're caring for yourself, you're going to be less likely to get the virus. So that means sleeping well or resting, limiting sugar and alcohol is a way to keep your immune system up. And regular meditation and moderate exercise, all of those things. So sleep, limiting sugar and alcohol, regular meditation, and moderate exercise are all immune boosters. So it's self-care for just being healthy, and it's self-care that if you are worried about the virus.
So our third pillar was, what can we do with this time when we're trying to tether ourselves, trying to create a new normal? And we talked about this quite a bit as we were planning the show, and we decided, and I think this is just really fabulous, this is a great time to create a new micro goal. So Kelly, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I just had the idea, we don't know how long we're going to be socially isolating. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if I decided to do a body sculpting video for the next 4 weeks? Just find something on YouTube, or if I learned to play the guitar. Okay, Mark has a great, he's got a beautiful guitar. He plays the guitar beautifully. There are guitar lessons online. Just take something small or organizing my closet. I've never, ever had the kind of closet that you walk in and just be like, okay, this is perfectly organized. But I think there are things right now that we could just put into micro goals, something that is just in this little compressed window, and it will end. It may go, we're in day 11 or day 10 of a 15-day, slow the spread as the government's asking us to do. So they may go another 15 days. They may go another 30 days. Who knows what the duration is going to be, but it's not a year. It's not 2 years. It's something short. So a micro goal there I think it would be great. And Mark's doing this thing where it's the push-up challenge
that's great.
Yeah, where you just add, you do, 3 push-ups in the morning, 3 push-ups in the afternoon, 3 push-ups at night. So that first day you've done 9, and then you add 1 each day, and then you take a day off, and then you add another 1 each day. And so eventually at the end of this time, you're supposed to be able to do 100 push-ups. I think that takes 4 weeks or 6 weeks or something like that. But there are things that we can do. What was the question, Maria, that we said was a good way to pick something?
First, what seems exciting to you? Like if again, going to your future self, if you did whatever this little thing was, how would your future self feel? What's exciting to you, and what would your future self be glad about? And I think that I've talked about this a lot, that the worse that you feel right now, or the kind of the deeper down, the smaller the goal needs to be. So if you're feeling really overwhelmed by this, or, your life is really in a turmoil, you're really untethered, do something really, really tiny, like clean out 1 drawer or whatever it is that kind of excites you. Like for me, the idea of maybe planting some spring flowers. I'm not sure I can get spring flowers right now, but I'm going to try. That fills my chest, and it's easily doable in about, 20 or 30 minutes. And it's going to make my world better. And, it's just a tiny thing. But, it could be reading that book that self-help book that's been by your bed for 6 years or whatever.
I love it.
Or reading 1 chapter. or just opening it. I mean, the deeper down you are, the more overwhelmed you feel, the smaller that goal needs to be. Tiny, tiny, tiny steps. So, but we think, Kelly and I talked about this, and we think this social isolation time is a perfect opportunity for all of us to do one new thing, one small thing, learn something new, do something new, pick up a new skill, create some beauty, paint a picture, doodle, write one chapter of your book,
Yes.
or handwrite a letter to somebody that you haven't seen in a long time. There's so many little things you can do that your future self, that I'm talking about things obviously that would make my future self happy, but whatever your future self is, what's exciting.
I love that, Maria. And yesterday, one of the things that we talked about too was the social isolation. People are at home. So I reached out to a great friend of mine, Karen. She's in Orlando, and Karen and I swam together and did triathlons together. And, we've been friends I was a bridesmaid in her wedding, and she inspires me. She's a true champion. I told her we should have her on the show, but I had not talked to Karen in a long time. And you know what? I just said, I texted her. I said, Karen, I know you're home. I know we're both not working. I said, let's set up a time to talk. So we got our cell phones. We put our feet up. We talked for an hour, and I felt amazing after I talked with her. It was just
nice.
So reach out to someone like that, that they're probably home. They're probably home watching Netflix and would be better having a nice conversation with you.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's a good time to reach out to people that you haven't. And I've been attracted to the same thing, interestingly. I want to, of course, see and not see, but certainly talk to the people that I can't see in person, like my parents and so forth. But I've also been thinking a lot about all those other people, my long lost friends. And so I think maybe this is an opportunity to call the Karens in our lives and, say, hey, I've been thinking about you. So
Yes.
Yeah, that's great. I love that idea, Kelly. And the connection will be really good for us.
Yes. And Maria, I think my favorite thing that you've said in this whole podcast that we've said is the deeper in the hole you feel, the smaller the goal. And I want to take this opportunity to say, you and I, we're kind of sharing a little sneak a peek of what Maria and I have been up to behind the scenes. So we've been a little busy. Maria and I are taking a 6-month course at the Health Coaching Institute. It is an amazing program. We probably, how much do we spend? Maybe 8 hours a week on this for 6 months.
Yeah.
And what are we, about 8 weeks in, 10 weeks in? We're 2 months into our 6-month program.
Right.
And it's health coaching and life coaching, because we feel like that will help us help you. And we've been coaches all our life. We could probably I know we could do coaching right now. Maria, you have your master's in counseling. I've got my master's in exercise science, and I've been a coach, and we coach people a lot on here. But the thing that stuck out to me as one of the big parameters of coaching people is the deeper in a hole they are, or the more weight they need to lose, or the more change they need to make in their life. The bigger change that they need to make, the smaller steps they start with.
Right. That's really true.
I love that concept from Health Coaching Institute that we're doing. And I love that concept that you applied today to this situation. And it applies to me. Last week, you sent me this list of, hey, Kelly, here's 5 shows that we can do, now on the podcast, because we're not going to interview swimmers or coaches right now because the whole swimming show is shut down. So let's do this, this, and this. And I was just overwhelmed. I was deep in the hole. I was down in so we finally talked, and you're like, gosh, you're just deep in the hole. Like, I'm that little girl climbing up the board. I know, I'm scared. I don't want to do a podcast. And you're like, okay, how about we start with one podcast? And that was okay. That was like, all right, because I was just frozen. I told you I was frozen. I was ungrounded, untethered. And you gave me that little baby step. Come on, little girl, just come to the end of the diving board. We're just gonna do one podcast. So that really made me feel better. So I feel you, friends, that it's tough out there and that it's hard. It's hard.
It is.
But just do something small, and that one little small step will make some momentum, and you'll be glad you did. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I would just say right after this podcast, as you finish listening to this podcast, we want you to just go do one little thing, or at least put on your calendar to do one little thing that's going to make you feel good.
Yeah. Maybe email us and let us know what you did.
Yeah. Oh, that's email us.
Yeah. We're at hello@championsmojo.com. hello@championsmojo.com. Those are our 3 things we talked about. Just if you're feeling ungrounded, it's normal. Your behaviors are normal. Don't worry about it, but don't stay stuck there. How to get yourself grounded again. Find a new routine. Reflect on your own feelings. Take care of yourself. Sleep, meditate, pray, moderate exercise. Oh, skip the news. That's right. Skip the news. And
not just the news, but I mean, I think you're going to find this all over Facebook and media in general. If you can silence your phone for a while, or somehow create a way that you can only look at good things, that's the thing to do.
Find the good news, and and then set some little step out of the cave. Just get out there and do some things that make you happy.
Yeah. Yeah, even if it's just opening the door or opening the window, the small, whatever it takes. So, yeah, Kelly, just talking to you and listening to you has made me feel better today. Thank you.
Yeah, me too, Maria. And there will be an after. This will be over. This is going to be minor compared to the pandemic of 1918, where 200 million people died, and life went back to normal. Life went on. We're way ahead of all this technologically compared to where other pandemics have been. It's gonna end, and there's gonna be a great future out there for us. And so you just need to think about that.
It's a new world. It'll be a new, wonderful new world.
It will
I'm
be.
Looking forward to living that.
Yes. All right, Maria, thank you for making me feel better. And friends, thanks for listening. And
thanks so much.
Hope we'll hear from you guys. Love you, Maria.
Love you, Kelly. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
This week's quote of the week comes from our own Kelly Palace. We need a break from the nonstop negative news. Give yourself a 24-hour news fast and put your focus on things you love, connect to nature and friends, and you will feel 1,000,000 times better. You've been listening to the Champions Mojo podcast, designed to make you feel inspired, motivated, and educated. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. Also, visit championsmojo.com to learn more.